BFDI is a very unique show in the sense that most shows have a main cast of around 3 to 7 characters. However, in BFDI there have been 67 main characters not counting the host, which that creates an interesting conversation about these characters on where the writers try to have all of them have importance in the story and the show while writing one each out in each episode, which makes development for characters harder than others because it's so unpredictable on which character is going to leave the show next episode. Therefore, the development for that character kind of ends. In this video, I'm taking all of these contestants and ranking them from worst to best. Keep in mind these are all my opinions, and feel free to leave your list in the comments down below. Also, I'm trying to reach 7,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and if you do like BFDI content, it would mean a lot if you hit that subscribe button. Number 67, I have Rocky. I never found myself rooting or ever liking Rocky every single time he's been on the screen. Rocky's whole thing was just him barfing, and that was his whole shtick, and it was kind of meant to be a comedic relief type of character, but I never really found Rocky that funny, and that's why I don't really like Rocky, because he's kind of a one-trick pony, and if his one trick I don't really like, and that's his whole purpose of his character, it's going to be hard for me to like them. And Rocky never had any cool, interesting story or background or dynamics with any characters. It was literally just barfing, and I have no idea how Rocky made it so far into BFDI, and I'm glad he was eliminated early in TPOT and BFDIA. And number 66, I have Pi, and one of the main problems I have with Rocky is the same one I have with Pi. Pi never really had any dynamics with characters that I really liked, and it felt like Pi was just super lazy in most of the challenges, and she was kind of like a comedic relief character too, but I never really found Pi like very interesting at all. She never had anything cool going on in the season, and she did have a kind of sassy humor, which I can understand why people might like Pi because of that, but I feel like that sassy type of humor has been executed better by other characters in the show, and I just don't really like Pi that much. Number 65, I have Belle. I never really liked Belle, and I feel like Belle was a very forgettable character. The only thing ever interesting about Belle, or the only thing memorable in my opinion, is the whole thing with her string and where it led to. But again, I was never super interested about that. I also didn't like how Belle would have random outbursts on certain characters for absolutely no reason. I understand mean characters and I like mean characters, but again, I just don't think this was very done well with Belle. I feel like Belle was a mean character, but with no like upside. Like normally when there's a mean character in a show, they can either be funny or it's deserved, but Belle never really felt like that, and I just never really liked Belle. Belle just kind of rubbed me the wrong way every time I saw her on screen. Number 64, I have Saw, and in early BFB, I actually liked Saw. I feel like she was a pretty competitive character and was like a center part of her team and helped them in challenges. And then when in 8-Ball's elimination, she infused 8-Ball's like chemicals or whatever, and the whole 8-Ball thing happened. Saw became easily one of the worst characters on the whole show. It was the most annoying stick in the whole show. It was never funny. It was too predictable, and Saw was too like lacking of a personality to make up for it. So I was glad when Saw was eliminated, and I just hated what they did to Saw's character. I felt like it was so unneeded, and they could have actually developed Saw in a better way. But again, that's just my opinion. Number 63, I have Foldy. Foldy, in my opinion, is just a definition of a bland character, never really having any personality or nothing that ever really stood out about Foldy. I did like Foldy's friendships with Marker and Stapy. I do kind of like that dynamic. It does get hated on a lot in the BFDI community, and I don't really understand why. I thought it was pretty cool, but then when Stapy got eliminated, it was basically non-existent, and Foldy never really had anything going for her after that, and she was just really bland and boring, and she was always the weakest link in that trio, in my opinion. Number 62, I have Loser, and I could kind of understand the appeal to Loser pre-split. Like, yeah, it was kind of annoying that everyone was obsessed with him, and I feel like him being around kind of ruined characters within the show, and I just didn't really like the whole obsession thing over him, but I could kind of see the appeal of this character. However, in post-split, Loser was one of the worst characters I've ever seen in BFB. He was the most cocky, arrogant, full of himself character I've ever seen in my whole life, and it wasn't even in like a funny way or anything. It was just kind of like an annoying and obnoxious way, and I'm so glad when he got eliminated. Loser should have never came back into BFB. Loser was never interesting enough of a character to deserve to rejoin. Again, I don't know why Loser rejoined, but he did, and it just made the show worse. The reason why I don't like Loser is maybe his character isn't bad, but I feel like him being in the show made the show worse as a whole because of how characters interacted with Loser. Number 61, I have Lightning. Again, not really much to say with Lightning. Lightning is a really bland and boring character. Lightning did have their moments, but I felt like Lightning was only in the show to just zap people, and also became very clumsy in the Power of 2, which I didn't really like because I liked how Lightning was strong in the challenges before that, and then kind of made Lightning useless in the challenges, and that just led to Lightning's inevitable elimination. So Lightning is just kind of a forgettable, boring character, not really much else to say. Number 60, I have Cake, and going back to what I was saying about Loser, Cake was one of those characters that was made worse by Loser before and after Loser's elimination, especially after, because I felt like Cake was way too reliant on Loser and lashed out too much, and it was just so annoying to see. Like, I really just did not like the characters that sucked up to Loser so hard and felt so reliant on his presence. And then when Loser left, Cake, again, like I said earlier, just would outburst on characters randomly and saying they need Loser there. I just found that so utterly annoying, and I didn't want to see Cake on screen. However, in the Power of 2, Cake did get a lot better, but I feel like Cake got eliminated too early for me to make a significant opinion change. But Cake, again, did get better, but not a significantly amount better to make me really change my opinion on Cake's character from what I saw in BFB. Number 59, I have Robot Flower. Robot Flower didn't really do much at all in BFB. That's very memorable. Robot Flower just kind of felt like a background character. However, in TPOT, Robot Flowers became a very important character, but I feel like it helps out Basketball's character more than Robot Flowers actually. I felt like the storyline between Robot Flower and Basketball is more of a Basketball thing than a Robot Flower thing. And I do think Robot Flower is important, and I did vote to save Robot Flower at one point just because I wanted the storyline to keep going, and I did like it. I don't have anything against Robot Flower as a character. All the characters from now on I like. There's nothing wrong with any of the characters. The characters I just talked about were the characters I didn't like. But the thing is with Robot Flower still just feels kind of bland to me and doesn't really do much besides kind of replicate Flower. Again, she did change, but then after that change, we haven't really seen that much of Robot Flower since then. So Robot Flower is just kind of a fine character to me. Number 58, I have Naily, and I know Naily has a lot of supporters, and I completely understand that. Naily's perception as a character is to be charming and funny, but to me, she just isn't that funny or charming. Again, I don't hate Naily or anything. I just don't really get what they're putting out there for her character. But I do see the appeal, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate how they execute it well, and other fans see that. I just personally don't see it, and it doesn't really hit me the way it hits other people. I don't really find that personality very interesting or amusing. So that's why Naily's so low on my list. And then 57, I have Price Tag, which is basically the exact same thing with Naily, but I do feel like Price Tag does have more of a personality, and I feel like Price Tag helps out a bit more in challenges. I do think Naily helped out in challenges, but I feel like Price Tag gets a little bit more, and I also like the design with their face, and I do think Price Tag is getting better and better each episode. I probably would have had Naily above Price Tag, but it feels like each episode I'm starting to like Price Tag more and more. Number 56, I have Profiley. The thing is with Profiley, it's I kind of like Profiley, but also not really at the same time. Profiley was only there for 2 episodes, so again, there's not really much you can get out of Profiley. And I could see the comedic benefit of Profiley. I can see why people find Profiley funny. I just personally don't really. When Profiley is funny, I can appreciate it in my head, I guess, but I never laugh out loud at anything Profiley's ever done. It's they're funny, but not really at the same time. Number 55, I have TV. And I actually really like TV as a host in BFDIA. I feel like it just fit the randomness and the chaoticness of the season so well. But then obviously TV got replaced. And then in BFB, TV was literally a background character the whole time. I literally couldn't tell you one thing TV did that whole season that actually stuck to my brain. I do like TV now and TPOT. I like how they use reused lines. I feel like that's kind of interesting and cool. But again, I feel like TV's personality and just character as a whole still just isn't really that memorable. And I'm honestly surprised with how many votes TV still gets every single elimination. I genuinely don't know why people like TV so much. But put down in the comment section why you like TV if you are a big TV fan, because I just genuinely don't understand it. Number 54, I have Gady, and I do like Gady to a certain extent. I have nothing against Gady, but it feels like in BFB, Gady is pretty forgettable. I mean, I do like the dynamic with 2 and Teapot. I feel like Gady did get a lot better in Teapot, and there are I do like when Gady can be the voice of reason in moments, and again, there's nothing against Gady. I just feel like Gady just doesn't really have that much character development throughout the show, or an arc of any sort to really make me be intrigued towards Gady or make me drawn towards Gady like other characters. Gady's just kind of there. And I don't mind her presence on the show. I just feel like I'm not really attached to the character at all. And I feel like in Gady's elimination, I didn't really care for it. Number 53, I have Clock. And I actually really liked Clock throughout BFB. I feel like he was a great voice of reason for his team. And being on the team Losers, I really did not like that team in BFB, but Clock was definitely a highlight of that team. I really liked how competitive he was, and also kind of Gady, a voice of reason. But however, in the Power of 2, when the whole winter stuff was going on, Clock was probably one of my least favorite characters in that whole season. Maybe my least favorite character, because that whole winter thing was so forced and awkward, and I just hated how Clock was just so obsessed with winter. and like wanted to be like some super fan of loser, but he wasn't even really like that in BFB. I feel like he was way more obsessed with winner than he was with loser, and doing a bunch of stuff that led to them losing challenges I just didn't really like seeing, and I feel like it just diminished Clock's whole character, because I feel like Clock in BFB was such a voice of reason and wanted to win challenges so bad that now he's going out of his way to lose challenges for his team just for a winner. Like, I don't know, that just doesn't really seem like it fits Clock's character, at least the BFB version of Clock. Number 52, I have Stapy, and I feel like Stapy is a character with a lot of missed potential. I thought Stapy was a pretty funny character and pretty smart, and I did like his dynamic with Foldy and Marker, and I really liked how he would stand up for them. But one thing I really did not like about Stapy was his lack of challenge participation. When I look at characters, one of the biggest things for me personally is how they perform on challenges, because it's such a big part of the show. And when Stapy was really lazy and didn't perform for his team, that I really did not like that at all. But in some cases, Stapy did really step up for his team and make his team win challenges. But again, he got cut short for the cheating thing, and that was back when his vote to eliminate. And with characters not getting that much screen time, Stapy was an easy target. On number 51, I have Spongy, and Spongy has to be one of the most bullied characters I've ever seen in a show for absolutely zero reason. I mean, he's been killed, he just gets bullied for being fat, and it's really not his fault at all. And again, he just gets bullied and just being treated like crap time and time again. However, that's not going to make me really like Spongy. It makes me kind of root for Spongy, but it doesn't really make me put him over other characters. I did like his dynamic with Barfbag and BFB, but again, Spongy is just kind of a bland character. He kind of sits around there. He's decent in the challenges, but never does anything like spectacular. And again, I do feel bad for Spongy. I feel like he was done dirty throughout the whole time he was in BFDI, but I feel like he's just kind of a bland character. Number 50, I have Yellowface, and despite popular opinion, I don't really like Yellowface in TPOT. I feel like he became way more selfish and way more evil than he was before, and I understand why people like that. Like, people like characters like Pillow, myself included, but I just like don't like how overly like evil. He's not even overly evil, he's just evil in such like a rude way, and he kind of like lost like the charm he had with like the ads and stuff. That's the part I really liked about Yellowface. Like in early BFDIA and BFB, that's why I liked Yellowface. He was funny, he was kind of like a goofy character, but now in BFDIA and TPOT, he's just kind of becoming more evil and not in like a fun way. So my likeness towards Yellowface is definitely going down throughout each episode. And yeah, I feel like pre-hiatus BFDIA was at Yellowface's best, but that's why I just don't really like Yellowface that much anymore. Number 40, I have Grassy. I actually really like Grassy in BFB pre-split. He did a lot more in challenges and just had more of a personality. However, in TPOT, he did get a lot worse. I'm not a Grassy hater by any means, but him just saying the same thing every single time he speaks, it gets old and predictable. To enjoy him as a character, it's kind of hard to do so when he just does one thing. I do like his dynamic with Snowball a lot, and they do well in the challenges together, but it does feel like Snowball kind of carries that dynamic and like carries that duo that makes people like Grassy more because of Snowball. Kind of like what I said about Rocky earlier, where he's kind of a one-trick pony. That's kind of what he is now, but again, it's not that funny to me. But I do like how much he's been participating in the challenges, and at least he has dynamics with characters like Snowball. Rocky didn't have a dynamic with anyone in the whole show. Number 48, I have Remote. I feel like Remote is a good character, just with little screen time. I really like Remote. I really like her design and her robot voice. She's also a good comedic relief character. And I feel like that's kind of undermined with their character. I feel like no one really talks about how funny of a character she is. And I really like how smart she is. But I just feel like she doesn't get enough screen time in either of her seasons that she, like... I feel like Remote just gets overshadowed by other characters on Deathpack because there's so many big characters on that team that I feel like it kind of undermines Remote's character. And I really hope Remote rejoins if there is a rejoin in the Power of Two, because I feel like she does deserve it. I just feel like there's a lot more potential with that character, and her getting cut so short so early was just really sad to see. Number 47, I have 8-Ball. This is probably my most controversial pick so far, because 8-Ball is normally at the very bottom of every list I see. But I don't know why, I just really like 8-Ball. I really like his dry sense of humor. I just find that sort of humor really funny. Like, it's kind of sarcastic and just like dryness. I'm not a huge fan of his favorite number thing. I never really found that funny. But I also really liked his rivalry with 8-Ball. I found that really funny in the show. Like, I felt like that was one of the funniest parts of BFB. And I feel like he just got cut super early because of that. And again, I feel like people just didn't really get his like comedy. I feel like a lot of people don't really find 8-Ball that funny, which I can understand, but me personally, I really liked 8-Ball. And I also liked 8-Ball in the Exit episode, like the most recent one. I feel like he did a lot for the Exit. I did say earlier in one of my previous videos that he didn't do that much, but I don't know why I said that. I rewatched that episode and he literally put his life on the line for the Exit, for them to get out. But anyways, I feel like 8-Ball is a underrated character. I won't even say underrated. I just really like 8-Ball. It's like a guilty pleasure character. Number 46, I have Fiery Jr. And I also understand why people didn't like Fiery Jr. because Fiery Jr. was pretty mean and like kind of like overprotective of things at times. But honestly, I feel like it's done so well with Fiery Jr.'s character. And a lot of people don't see that, which again, I can understand. But I do just really like Fiery Jr. I think Fiery Jr. is one of the funniest characters on the show, but just didn't really get that much screen time. And Fiery Jr. is also a really good challenge competitor. I feel like the main reason why Fiery Jr. just gets such a knock is because he is like a spin-off character from another character. So I feel like he was kind of doomed from the start. But I feel like Fiery Jr. is a very underrated character, and I feel like he did do a lot in the Exit. I don't know if Fiery Jr. if we're ever going to see Fiery Jr. again in BFDI, but I hope we do. But if you do have the time to rewatch BFB, I would recommend it because I feel like there's hidden gem characters that got eliminated in pre-split that I didn't really remember until I rewatched, and I realized how good of characters they were. But I feel like they were just a victim of too much screen time just because not enough characters got enough screen time and it was voted to eliminate. So those characters were likely eliminated faster just because they showed like an ounce of rudeness and they didn't really have a reason to vote on any other character. Number 45, I have Braceley. Another character I thought was underrated, but definitely skyrocketed on my list after her Exit episode. She was definitely the best character in the Exit episode. Her like dumb but optimistic personality, I just love. I feel like it's like so funny and like heartwarming. I just really like characters like that are done well. Again, I just don't think people really like the Ice Cube thing, which I understand, and I wish they had like done that more down and earlier BFB than like, instead of pushing it in your face, because they didn't do that in the Exit, which they can clearly do with Braceley's character. It also saddens me that Pencil got voted in over her when Pencil is literally in BFDIA and doesn't need any more screen time, but Braceley is a character that hasn't been developed yet at all, being in like 3 or 4 episodes. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of going off tangent, but like, why was Pencil voted in over Braceley? At number 44, I have Ice Cube. I think Ice Cube is probably one of the most derailed characters from the original season of BFDI. I really like her in BFDI and BFDIA, even post hiatus. I really do like her underdog story and how the Alliance didn't want her, and she tried to like prove herself and like do better in the challenges and go farther into the game. And honestly, Ice Cube might have had a good chance of winning if it weren't for her contestant vote elimination. But however, in TPOT and BFB, she is a background character. Like, I think she's only stayed in the game based off nostalgia, in my opinion. Ice Cube has done a little bit in the challenge in the Power of 2, but in BFB, she did absolutely nothing. In the early stages of TPOT, she was literally using reused lines the whole time. I never got the appeal to Ice Cube in the later seasons, and I feel like they just completely wrote off her character. I don't know why. I don't know if they just don't know how to write her in the newer seasons, or they just completely got rid of her whole like revenge, like underdog thing. They do still use it, but not in the right way how they used it in BFDI and BFDIA. And I feel like she completely lost her dynamic with Book in Teapot, and it's just made Ice Cube's character a lot worse. 43, I have Eggy. Actually, before I rewatched BFB and more Teapot, Eggy was my least favorite character, and I feel like I just didn't take Eggy's character at its actual value. I feel like Eggy grew on me just because I started to realize how much of a better person Eggy actually is than I had in my head. It just feels like the bad moments of Eggy overshines the goodness. Eggy also does grow a lot as a person throughout BFB. I really didn't like when she outbursted on her team and the whole forgetting clock thing. I feel like in the later stages of BFB, Eggy's character was kind of getting worse. But in Teapot, I did appreciate her thing with Teardrop and her reviving her when no one else saw except for Winner. And I feel like that did show a lot about Eggy's character. And Eggy was also a good voice of reason for her team. But I just feel like Eggy's character is just super hated on. And I was a part of that. But I feel like now that I've rewatched BFB and I've learned what Eggy's character's like purpose was, I feel like Eggy is actually a very underrated character. At number 42, I have Cloudy. I really like Cloudy pre-split BFB. I just really like the whole Beep team as a whole, and I feel like the center points of that team were Cloudy and Balloony, and I really like Cloudy and Balloony's friendship, and I feel like it was one of the best dynamics in pre-split BFB, if not the best. I also really liked this collection of stuff. I thought that was pretty funny, and Cloudy was just a pretty funny character in general. However, when they went to TPOT, separating Balloony and Cloudy just derailed both their characters, and I just do not understand why the writers did that. I don't know if they just did that so Balloony could be an easy first boot. Again, I really don't know, but it definitely made both the characters worse, and Cloudy did nothing while they were in TPOT for their little time, and then got eliminated super early. And I feel like that's really sad, because I feel like Cloudy and Balloony had a lot of potential going forward into TPOT, but I feel like the writers messed up pretty bad on that one. Number 41, I have Leafy, and I remember watching BFDI for the first time, and I was genuinely rooting for Leafy the whole time. I really liked her nice personality, and it felt actually genuine. Obviously, rewatching it now and as I get older, it kind of seems more obvious that it's like a little less genuine, but it still felt authentic to Leafy. And I could understand why people loved Leafy in the first season. I feel like Leafy was a great character in the first season. I really liked her dynamic with Fiery. However, after the finale, Leafy's character was just never the same. I didn't like Leafy pre-split BFB because of her like overly niceness and like, I don't know, it was just really weird and not very funny. I understand it was trying to be funny and like not like taken seriously, but again, I didn't really like it. And then post-split BFB, I hated Leafy. Leafy was my least favorite character throughout all of post-split, except maybe Loser, but that was just because, but Loser was like barely in it. I hated the arc with Leafy and Fiery. Leafy was too dependent on Fiery the whole time they were together, and it was really hard to watch. I didn't like it. Again, Leafy's niceness just felt super ungenuine, and I just didn't like Leafy. They completely took away the good stuff of Leafy. Leafy was a really good independent character and did things on her own and won challenges and helped people around her like Ice Cube and Fiery. But then in post-split, she just became like a huge like baby and then was too dependent on other people. And then that ended up to her elimination. I don't know how she made it to the final four. I feel like she should have been eliminated way earlier than that, at least earlier than Fiery. But again, I just hated Leafy in post-split BFB. And BFB as a whole, she was kind of sucked. And then in BFDIA, you barely get to see her. I kind of liked her scenes. Like, her scenes weren't bad. I actually thought her scenes were pretty good in BFDIA. And I thought she was a really strong character in BFDI. But BFB, she was horrible. And that's why she's so low on my list now. Number 40, I have Marker. And Marker also didn't really get that much screen time on BFB. But I thought Marker was actually the funniest in BFB. A lot of people don't like the toss the dirt thing. I kind of found that funny. I've always found Marker's character kind of charming. And again, I like the dynamic with Stapy and Foldy throughout BFB. I've already expressed that. And I feel like Marker's been getting better and better in TPOT. And again, a lot of people don't like Marker, and I can see why. I can see why people could find Marker kind of annoying. But again, I'm not a huge Marker hater. I'm not a huge Marker fan. I feel like Marker is a good character for what its purpose is. But I wouldn't want Marker to make it super far or like win or anything. I wouldn't root for Marker to do that. But again, I can appreciate what Marker's character is there to do. And I feel like it serves it like well. Like, I don't think Marker does anything bad as a character. On number 39, I have Match, and Match was in the original Free Smart Alliance, and it was just Bubble and Pencil and her, and that is probably one of my favorite parts, if not my favorite part of all of BFDI, so it might just be nostalgia why she's here so high, but I still really like Match's character in Season 1, despite I feel like she's a little too reliant on Pencil for her as a character. I still really liked Match, and I liked how she complemented Pencil. However, a lot of people stopped liking Match in BFDIA, but I honestly still liked Match. I thought Match got funnier as a character. I didn't like how lazy she got and like overly mean, but I feel like she did get a lot funnier. But then in BFB, it felt like she got completely derailed. I don't know what happened. She just became so much more rude out of nowhere. And I'm glad she got eliminated in BFB over Snowball. And yeah, I don't know like what happened in Match, but they just kind of like derailed her character a lot. And I did make a video about that, all about when I was talking about the Free Smart Alliance. You can go check that video out. But yeah, I still really like Match as a character from like the earlier seasons. But for some reason in BFB and even in the exits, I didn't really like Match in any of the exit episodes. She also kind of felt too reliant on Pencil. But I do like how she apologized to Bubble. That was a good moment for her character. At number 38, I have Puffball. I really like Puffball in BFDIA. She was a very unique character with her voice and her flying abilities, and her being able to like change in sizes I thought was really cool. And it made her very useful in challenges. And then they randomly made her turn evil just because she was like, she wanted the prizes and the likes. I thought that was a really lazy way to write her off of the show and get her voted out. Like, I just did not like that at all. And I don't know, I just like, it was kind of a slap in the face of the character. And then the BFB, she was kind of a background character. I've said this a lot, but a lot of BFB characters were kind of just background characters. But then in TPOT, I started to like her more with her her friendship with Golf Ball, and how they would sabotage other teams together. I thought that was really cool how they became friends, and that dynamic was kind of cool, but then they kind of just stopped it randomly in Teapot, and then Puffball kind of became bland again, and it led to Puffball's elimination. I feel like if that kept going, it could have been cool, but it might have gotten old. The only reason why Puffball is this low on my list is just because of her like randomly turning evil and then her doing nothing in BFB. I think Puffball is a really good character, but I feel like she just didn't really get written that well past pre-hiatus BFDIA. 37, I have Bommy. Bommy's will stick for a while. It was just him getting blown up or either scared of getting blown up. And it was probably the most irrelevant character in all of BFB and honestly BFDIA until the hiatus. But after the hiatus came out in BFDIA, Bommy became a way better character, way more independent, super good in the challenges, a really empathetic character. Honestly, Bommy just improved in literally every aspect he could have as a character. And I feel like kind of got done dirty in Teapot, just randomly got cut screen time, and then that led to Bommy's elimination. And then the BFDIA also getting eliminated, which I don't really think is Bommy's fault. I just think the BFDIA cast is literally just so stacked that Bommy couldn't really keep up anymore, just based off the small development Bommy had gotten compared to the other characters in the show besides maybe Nickel. But I really like what they did with Bommy. I really like the development Bommy got. It's sad Bommy's eliminated from both seasons now. There's not going to be any more of Bommy. But I'm glad Bommy got a good personality and really showed how much of an independent character he is. Number 36, I have David, and you might think this is really high, and because it is, I just really like David's whole concept. I like how there's like other Davids out there, and like all the human variants are just variants of Davids. And when I was talking about comedic relief characters earlier, like Rocky, how they're a one-trick pony, and I didn't really find that trick funny. I honestly find David really funny, and I can't really explain why, or like there's no like value in his character like at all. He's just kind of there. But for some reason, I really like David. I also just really like how like outrageously strong he is for some reason. I just find that really funny. And yeah, I don't really have a great reason to have David this high. I just like David's character. And then at 35 is Robati. Literally the exact same reason. But the reason I like Robati more is just because like Robati's kind of mysterious. Like you don't really understand what he's saying. He speaks in Morse code. A lot of people hate Robati. Like I know a lot of people don't like David, but most people hate Robati. Every single list I see, Robati's always at the bottom. And I don't know why. I just really like Robati as a character. I also think Robati was really good in the Exit episode too. At number 34, I have Flower, and this might seem low for you guys, but honestly, I liked Flower more in BFDI and BFDIA when she hosted than in BFB, and that might sound crazy, but I just didn't really like how much they forced Flower to win BFB, and it kind of felt like it was actively making the show worse when they were putting down other characters and kind of felt like derailing other characters to force Flower to win. I did like her redemption arc, and I feel like her during that time wasn't a bad character. I actually found her still like a good character, but I just found her in season 1, her being more cartoonishly evil. I found that honestly pretty entertaining and pretty funny, and I also just did really like her as a host. And again, I can understand why people really like Flower, and I can respect her redemption arc. Again, I didn't not like Flower in BFB, but I just feel like I kind of got overdone, and maybe I just have a like bad taste in my mouth just because I know they were forcing Flower to win so hard that it kind of ruined the writing between like the last couple episodes. But again, I still like Flower as a character, and I don't really have anything bad to say about Flower, but I just liked her more in season 1 and season 2. At number 33, I have Winner, and a lot of people I've seen not liking Winner, and the main reason I see for people not liking Winner is the connection to Loser, which I don't understand at all. Winner and Loser are complete opposites, and I feel like that's why they were a duo, is because they were like Winner, Loser. Winner's a lot more empathetic, a lot more humble, and just a lot more caring of others, when Loser just clearly really isn't, and Loser's just insanely full of himself. But I really like Winner. I really like his wholesome moments, his empathetic moments. I just think he's an all-around good character and like a good person. And the reason why he's not insanely higher is because there hasn't been anything crazy that's happened with this character yet to make me super drawn to Winner. But he is still one of my favorite, like one of the, obviously not like my favorite, but like one of the characters I do like a lot. I just wish Winner had more going on inside the story. At number 32, I have Pillow. Pillow's been a really controversial character this season. Either people love or hate Pillow in this season. And honestly, I really like Pillow. Pillow in BFB, I still liked her. I feel like she was still funny, but on Teapot, I just like her more. I like her super like twisted, like demonic look on things, and like I don't know what it is. Like I can understand people don't like Pillow, and I wouldn't be surprised if I got old of her like stick soon. But really, I'm not. I just find her so, like, evil for no reason. I don't know. I just find that funny. That's why I like characters like Flower and BFDI. It's just, like, so cartoonishly evil for no good reason. And, like, just her flip after being on a team that literally prevented death. I just thought that was really funny. And I don't know. I just like Pillow as a character. I just like her design. I like her voice. Like, I think her voice actor does an amazing job at voicing Pillow's character. Honestly, I feel like it might be one of the best voice acted characters on the whole show. Just as a whole, I really like Pillow's character, and I really hope Pillow goes far on the show. Number 31, I have Dora. Dora's a character that got done so dirty in both of her seasons. I'm glad she got voted out over Lollipop, but again, I was still upset that she was voted out over a character like Saw or Gady. But in BFDIA, she literally got voted out for just being a joke character. Again, I'm glad Fries got saved over her, but other characters could have been voted out like Bommy or Spongy. She was an insane challenge performer, and like she had a good backstory. But again, people just didn't like Dora. They just didn't get her character. They just thought she was a joke character because she looked like David. And she's like, you couldn't understand what she was saying. But there was more to Dora than being a joke character. Dora was an insanely good challenge competitor, had a good backstory. And Dora was just a good overall character. And I'm sad Dora got robbed from returning. And she got robbed in both of her seasons. She is the most underrated character in all of BFDI history. Number 30, I have Barf Bag. I kind of went over all the points I made about Barf Bag in my underrated BFDI characters video, but Barf Bag was easily one of my top 3 BFB characters. Her dynamics with Spongy and Lollipop, I loved her personality, but in TPOT, she just got completely derailed. And she basically just became super boring, had no like real dynamics, had nothing really important going on in the story. Yes, he technically did have 2 episodes like about her, like challenge wise, I guess. But again, like it didn't really boost her as a character, and that led to her elimination, which was really sad because I feel like she kind of got derailed because she was a super good character in BFB, super good. But then in Teapot, she just kind of like got forgotten about in the writing room, I guess. Number 29, I have Woody. I wasn't a huge fan of Woody in BFDIA just because this whole being scared of everything things, again, like wasn't really that funny to me or whatever. Like I didn't really like that whole stick. But in BFB post-split, I think Woody was probably the best BFB post-split character. Actually, no, maybe not the best. Actually, no, not the best. But it was a very good post-split character. I love the dynamic with Taco and Blocky. I love that whole alliance. I love how Woody broke out of his shell during the post-split and started doing stuff with Blocky. And I also like how he made Blocky a better person as well along the way. I just really like Woody as a character throughout that whole time, and I'm glad Woody I feel like Woody got eliminated at the perfect time. Woody didn't overstay his welcome or get eliminated too early. I feel like Woody served his purpose, got his development, and just all around really enjoyable character, and I was actively rooting for Woody, but was also satisfied with the departure. I feel like there was nothing missing. At 28, I have Basketball. Basketball wasn't very memorable for me in BFB despite, I guess, the being on 8-Ball's side throughout the rivalry. But in Teapot, Basketball became a very interesting character, showing how smart Basketball is, and her whole arc with Robert Flower is probably my favorite thing of Teapot so far. I really like the whole thing with, also Basketball with 1-2, I do really like. I feel like every arc Basketball is in, I feel like makes it better just with her intelligence and her way of problem solving. And I hate that she's been in the bottom 2 so many times in the Power of 2. I'm scared she's gonna get eliminated really soon. I don't know why people don't like Basketball. I keep seeing people saying Basketball's an overrated character when Basketball's not. Basketball's been in the final 2 multiple times. And I don't know, Basketball I feel like is a really fun, interesting, smart, empathetic, good character. And I feel like there's so much more for Basketball's character to be seen. But people just don't like Basketball for some reason. Please, if you're watching this, Basketball's up for elimination again. Vote for Basketball. She brings the best arcs into the Power of 2. And I'll stand on that. She's the reason why the Power of 2 has been, well, not the reason, but she's one of the reasons why Teapot has been so good. And it's probably going to be the best season of BFDI ever. It is because the arcs Basketball's in and she makes them better. At 27, I have Pin. Pin in BFDI in the first season, I honestly really liked. I thought she was funny. I thought she was kind of an overdramatic, like, bossy character, but it was still pretty funny to me. And she's also a really good challenge performer, earning herself win tokens. And I also liked her in BFB with her interactions with Corny. I haven't been the biggest fan of her in Teapot with the whole cheating plotline. I really just did not like at all. However, her in BFB, I feel like she's at her best, specifically pre-hiatus. I find her very funny and caring, but I've still liked her after the hiatus. But her getting more torturous and like kind of like, I don't know, she just got tortured throughout the whole like a long time in BFDIA, so it kind of like stunted her character a bit, like her development, and then she's just becoming more and more hostile, which I feel like is going to lead to her elimination this or next episode, which is sad to say, but it's just the reality. But again, I do really like Pin's character throughout all the time she's been on there, except for a little bit of Teapot, but I do think Pin is just a good quality character. At number 26, I have Golf Ball. I wasn't a huge fan of Golf Ball in Season 1, but the more I rewatch BFDIA, the more I like her. I feel like her best season was easily BFDIA or Teapot. I feel like she should have went further in BFDIA, but, you know, that's already over with. But I just love how competitive and smart Golf Ball is as a character. No one wants to win more than Golf Ball, and she will do anything to win. And also, most of her ideas are good. Like, she has good and smart ideas to win challenges. It's just people don't like being bossed around which I get, but I feel like Golf Ball is normally always right. And people complain about how bossy and rude she is, but again, I feel like it's just her competitive spirit, and I feel like it really shows in the challenges because she doesn't really have a grudge against any characters except for like Snowball and Puffball for a bit. But I feel like it's all in competitive nature, and I feel like Golf Ball just really wants to win. And I feel like if any character deserves to win the power of 2, it's Golf Ball. At number 25, I have Balloony. I think Balloony pre-split is one of the better characters in the pre-split. Definitely actually one of my favorites in the pre-split. His friendship with Cloudy, like I said before, I also really liked. I also like how he stood up to Leafy on Team B. And I also thought he was a very funny, good, and brave character. He always stood his ground and kind of just like, I don't know. I really like Balloony. I feel like he's a very good independent character. And I feel like he always stood up like what was right for him. And he did get tortured a lot on Team B, and I do feel bad for. But it's a true shame that he got put into BFB instead of the Power of 2. Balloony could have been such a good character in the Power of 2, especially with Cloudy. But again, they put him in BFB. I don't know why. I don't know why they kept him in BFB. It was really stupid. But again, what's happened, happened. And then Balloony got literally no development past that, which is really sad because Balloony had a lot of potential as a character. Balloony has literally everything you could ask for in a character: independence, funniness, I feel like a good storyline, and a very rootable character. But that all got thrown out the window for some reason, and I don't know why. On number 24, I have Nickel. Recently in post-hiatus BFDIA, I've loved Nickel. I've always liked the underdog type of characters, and I feel like he just approaches that character in such a comical way, and I feel like it just makes it so funny and perfect to me. I love when he goes on his own. He doesn't take it personal, and people don't reject him. He just uses that, not even to fuel himself, but he just does his own way. He does what he wants to do, and he does what he thinks is right, and I feel like that just makes him such a good character to root for, and he's also just a really funny character. I really like his goofy personality. I just like characters like that, and I feel like Nickel executes it in a great way, and I really hope he goes farther in BFDIA. At number 23, I have Black Hole. I feel like Black Hole is kind of becoming an unpopular character, and I don't really know why. I can understand it because of the preventing death thing and him losing challenges, but honestly, I just give that as a plus point for Black Hole because he's standing up what he believes in. He was on the team to prevent death, but I also like how he understood where Fanny was coming from. Again, I'm not saying Black Hole was in the right because, again, you shouldn't be losing challenges, but also he stood his ground, heard out Fanny, and did what he thought was right, and then started not preventing deaths to help his team win challenges. And I feel like that shows how much of a good character Black Hole is. I feel like Black Hole can stand his ground, but also change his opinion when he knows something is wrong or when he hears out other people. And again, I find Black Hole like a very funny character. I really like that dry sense of humor. He's kind of becoming less and less like that, more of a serious character later in the episodes. But when Black Hole is a funny character, I find him very funny. Well, obviously when he's a funny character, I'll find him funny. But when his purpose is to be comedic, I just really like that dry sense of humor. And I just really like Black Hole, and I feel like Black Hole gets too much slack. Number 22, I have Bottle, and this is getting into my A tier of characters. These are like my favorite characters, and Bottle is one of my favorite characters in all of TPOT and BFB. I love Bottle. I find Bottle super funny, super goofy, and she also does contribute a lot to the challenges. And I always root for Bottle no matter when it is or where it is. I feel like she's so full of life and is always trying to have fun, which I can really appreciate about a character because, you know, those are good values to have. And she's always trying to contribute. There's nothing Bottle ever does wrong on purpose, and I just really like that. I find her funny. I love how she competes in challenges. Everything about Bottle I really like. I feel like she was just a victim earlier in BFB, and honestly in the Power of 2 for not getting enough screen time. But the more screen time Bottle gets, the more I'm gonna like Bottle because Bottle is just a good character, and I hope Bottle gets more development and more screen time and builds more dynamics with other characters because I feel like she just makes the Power of 2 such more of a better show. Number 21, I have Fanny, and going into TPOT, I was scared Fanny was going to be a early boot, just because she didn't have a bunch of popularity going into the Power of 2, and that could not be more farther from the truth, and honestly, I'm very glad about that. Fanny, I feel like, has always been a good character in BFB, but has just gotten a lot better and a lot more screen time in TPOT. She's always been a good voice of reason, and again, like, a lot of people think Fanny's mean, or I guess thought Fanny was mean, but Fanny is just a reasonable character. I feel like Fanny is like a perfect voice of reason for her team, and like, I don't know, she just stands up for what she believes in, which obviously I do appreciate in a character. Like I was saying about Black Hole earlier, I feel like Fanny can be funny. Fanny is a good voice of reason. I like her dynamics with characters like Black Hole. I just like Fanny as a character, and I feel like Fanny's whole archetype as a character, and not even being rude or anything, she's just kind of like passionate. I feel like she's a passionate character who has a good voice of reason, and that's why I just really like her. And she's also very competitive, wants to win, and that's another thing I value a lot in contestants. At number 20, I have book. Pre-IA's BFDIA book, I feel like, is the best book. I love her friendship with Ice Cube, and in the Making of Dream Island episode, I absolutely love her character in that episode. And it's kind of clear Book has been through a lot, and I feel like being not like treated right throughout the Free Smart Alliance. And it is shown she does have like abandonment issues and Teapot. However, I do hate the whole thing that happened with Taco. I really did not like how she would completely blame Taco and BFDI for leaving the team. That's one thing I really don't like about Book's character. I might be holding her back more, but everything in BFDIA, I love Book. I love her independence as a character, and I also like how passionate she is. And I also just think she's a really empathetic and funny character. And I also like her a lot in the Teapot. I feel like she's been getting a lot better. It's just in BFB, I wasn't a huge fan of Book just because of the whole abandonment thing with Taco. At number 19, I have Needle. When I first watched BFDIA 11 years ago, my favorite character is Needle. And honestly, I don't really know why, but I remember being so upset in her early elimination and how close she came back to rejoining both the times the BFDI rejoin happened. And I might just be due to nostalgia bias, but I really do love Needle. I wish she did more in BFB, and I feel like she was completely robbed of her elimination last episode in Teapot, just because I feel like Needle just didn't get the complete screen time she deserved. But she was always been good in challenges in Teapot and in BFDIA, and I really like her BFDIA now with her dynamics with Free Smart and Wobunch. I feel like Needle has become way more of a complex character, and honestly, me putting Needle this high might just be nostalgia, just because I used to love Needle, and like that's always kind of stuck with me. But other than that, I do think Needle is still a very good character. Sure, she might not have like the most unique personality, but she is very good in challenges, and she has a lot of dynamics with a bunch of characters, which I feel like makes Needle more likable. At number 18, I have Taco. I think Taco is easily the most overhated character in all of BFDI. I love her character in pre and post split of BFB, and I feel like she gets done dirty by her team, but it's still a very nice character. And obviously she got done dirty by the whole abandonment thing, and I feel like she still kept her calm and composureness well. And I actually really liked her in BFB post-split. A lot of people did not like her post-split just because I feel like she became more of a Karen, I guess, and complained a lot. But I feel like, honestly, it made her trio with Blocky and Woody better. Again, like I said earlier, that was one of my favorite dynamics in all of BFB. Probably my favorite dynamic in BFB, maybe. And I feel like that was Taco just making Blocky a better person, which honestly ended up helping Woody. So I feel like Taco helped develop both of those characters, and they don't give Taco the credit she deserves, and it's sad she's kind of forgotten about now, because I really do think Taco is a very good character. Number 17, I have Pen. Pen was also one of my favorite characters growing up. I love this chair with the Racer and Blocky, and he's probably my favorite character on the squishy chairs. However, I rewatched BFDI, and I can see how people can call him bland, but I still found him funny, and he always seemed a little smarter than the rest of the group, which I really liked, and he was a good voice of reason for the group with Blocky and Racer. BFB, I really liked his character too. I feel like he was the best character on Death Pact, except for maybe Lai, but Lai wasn't in like all that much. I feel like he was the true backbone of Death Pact. I know another YouTuber said that. I forget who it was, and I wish I credit them. But again, Pen is just a great character in BFB, a great character in BFDI, and I wish Pen was doing a little more in Teapot, but he's still been a very good character this season. Number 16, I have Donut, and Donut didn't really get that much screen time in BFDIA, obviously being the first elimination, and BFDIA at 1, he really got no screen time. He was kind of like the easy vote off. But I feel like a BFB is 100% his best character. He was easily one of my favorite characters in BFB pre-split, probably my favorite character, and I really love when he hosted the show. I love the way he interacted with the team and the characters, and honestly, I feel like in a future season, Donut could be a perfect host. But in Teapot, Donut sadly hasn't really done that much, and I wish he did more. Like, he does do the challenges and does have some dynamics with characters, but it feels like they've been kind of pushing his character out, which I really don't like, because I feel like Donut has a bunch of potential in Teapot. But him and BFB, he's probably my favorite character in all of BFB pre-split. That's why he's so high, and he could be an amazing host, because he was an amazing host, and if he did it for a whole season, he could be great. At number 15, I have Tennis Ball. I really loved Tennis Ball in Season 1, and a lot of people didn't really like him in Season 1, and I don't really understand why. I loved his clumsy personality. I thought he was a very funny character in BFDI, and was robbed in his elimination. And in BFDIA post-hiatus, he's been even better. He's gotten even more funny, and I like the independence he's built since Golf Ball's elimination. And I like the storyline with the Yo-Yo Light, and I think he's done even better in BFDIA without Golf Ball, but in Teapot, he definitely hasn't been a top tier character. I feel like he could be doing better in Teapot. Again, it kind of feels a little too dependent on Golf Ball, but I really like Tennis Ball's character in BFDIA, and I feel like that's why he's so high on my list. Number 14, I have Eraser. Eraser is one of the funniest characters in all of BFDI Season 1. And again, going back to that dry sense of humor I was talking about, I feel like he really had that. Him not caring about anything, I just found really funny. And him like always getting into arguments with the speaker box. And then he got a lot better in BFB and Teapot. I became super active in the challenges, which I really liked. And I loved his rivalry with Teardrop. However, after Teardrop left in Teapot 10, Eraser kind of became, like, he didn't really get any screen time and any plot relevance, which sadly led to his elimination. But I feel like Eraser is a very underrated character, an underutilized character, and I feel like he's very funny, and has good dynamics with a bunch of different characters. Number 13, I have Tree. Tree's been one of my characters since the very beginning of BFB. I really like how he's a good voice of reason, and he's also really smart, but he doesn't do it without being in your face about it. And like I said earlier, I always like smart characters that are good in challenges, and I just really like Tree's personality and his empathetic personality. I think Tree's probably the best smart character in the whole show, just because he can be funny, he can have that dry sense of humor, but again, he's also very empathetic and a very understanding character, mixed with his intelligence is just super rootable. And I think he's going to go far in TPOT, but I don't want to say anything too soon because last time I said the winner was going to be Coiny of TPOT and he got eliminated very early. But I do think Tree is going to go far, and I can't wait to see more of Tree in the Power of 2. Number 12, I have Fiery. I really like Fiery as a character, especially in Season 1. I love how funny he was, and then all the dynamics he had with Leafy and Coiny, and I loved his competitiveness in the challenges, and I feel like he was the perfect winner for Season 1, and in BFDIA, he kept it up, and I still liked his character, but got eliminated pretty early on. However, my main problem with Fiery, though, was in post-split BFB. I just never really liked the whole arc with Leafy and Fiery, and he contradicted himself a lot by saying stuff like he was only friends for Leafy's popularity, even though in the finale, he clearly was he valued Leafy's friendship more than Dream Island. So I didn't really like that. I feel like he went back on his word a lot in post-split BFB. But again, I can't really hold him back too much because I didn't really have a huge problem with him. Again, I didn't really like him in post-split BFB, but it wasn't to the extent of Leafy. Number 11, I have Snowball. Snowball was a very hated character in BFDI for being overly rude and being dumb, but honestly, I liked him. I liked his rivalry with the Golfo, and I thought he was one of the funniest characters in BFDI, but Snowball has easily been the best, or his best, in the Power of 2, and I liked how he kept a dumb personality, but he got a lot more humble, and people just don't take him as seriously as they used to, and it makes him a lot more funny. Even though I thought he was very funny in BFDIA, or BFDI, I still think he's been getting funnier and funnier in TPOT, and I love the dynamic he's built with Grassy, and I love how he competes in challenges. I just feel like Snowball's just become way more of a rootable character than just being some overly rude jerk. Yes, I found him funny, but I do like the newer version of Snowball. At number 10, I have Ruby. Ruby is such a goofy and lighthearted character, and that's what I really like about her. I think she's super funny, and I really like her in Free Spawn. I think it balances out the group, and I feel like there's a lot of like competitiveness or kind of rudeness in the group, but Ruby makes it a lot better. And it's that she got eliminated in BFB post-split so early, and I don't really understand why. I feel like she was still a good character in post-split and still helped out on the challenges. And in BFDIA, there's not much you can really complain about her. She's just a great character, and I just think her elimination in BFDIA was also kind of stupid. It was a 1v1, and it's kind of obvious Ruby was going to get eliminated just because people were probably sick of the whole sister thing, and Book was also just like a nicer character, so Ruby was going to get more dislikes. But again, not really much I can say now. It's already happened, so there's nothing much I can do about it, but I just really like Ruby's personality and her goofiness, and I feel like it's just executed super well in so many different ways. At number 9, I have Teardrop. But despite being a mute character, she is one of the best personalities in the whole show. And it's kind of crazy how she's a fan favorite despite only making the merge once, but I feel like that just explains how good of a character she is. And I love her dynamics with characters like Gelatin and Eraser, and I just love how good she is in challenges as well. I love competitive characters, and I love how scrappy she is, and I really liked her in TPOT, despite people not really liking her because she had a lot of plot armor in the first couple episodes and her being on her own team. I honestly really enjoyed watching her, and I just love the way she would find a win by herself when she's at such an obvious disadvantage. I just love it when Teardrop's on screen because she's a very action-packed character who can be, I don't know, that there's nothing I can really complain about Teardrop. Teardrop is just an amazing character, and I love it when she's on screen. Number 8, I have Pencil. I know Pencil isn't the most loved character, but I really like Pencil. I think she's amazing in all of her seasons except for BFB, but that was only one episode, so I don't really take that too much into consideration. I don't know how I feel about her being in TPOT over characters after she's already been in 2 seasons, but that's besides the point. She's one of the best challenge competitors in all of BFDI, and I love her competitiveness. She is also always making her teammates better and her alliance members better in the challenges. She really knows how to push her alliance and make them motivated to do the challenges. And I also just think she's gotten a lot more funny in BFDIA, and I feel like she's been getting a lot less rude. And again, the whole Free Smart Alliance is probably one of my favorite parts of BFDI in every single season because I like how it holds value in every single season. And I just really like Pencil's character. The only thing I don't really like about Pencil is when she was like purposely excluding Book and Ice Cube. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but other than that, I really like Pencil's character. At number 7, I have Lai, and I'm so happy Lai came back for TPOT. I really hope she goes far. She's always my favorite character on screen whenever she's been on screen, and I love her personality so much. She's funny, but she's smart at the same time, and I love how passionate she was for preventing deaths. She was eliminated way too early, but she was easily the best character on her team besides maybe Pen, but for the time she was on, she was the best character. And she gained a lot of popularity from her 2 exit episodes, and honestly I could not be more grateful for that. I'm so glad Lai's back. And I know I was talking about earlier about how I was ranking characters a little lower just because of their limited screen time, but literally every single time Lai's been on screen, she has been my favorite character on screen, and she's the character I root for over anyone that I've ever seen. And if Lai makes it far on the Power of 2, Lai will probably be my favorite character of all time when it's all said and done. At number 6, I have Bubble. After rewatching BFDI multiple times, I feel like Bubble was the best character in that whole season, and after Blocky's elimination, she was definitely my favorite character remaining. But I feel like her not winning kind of benefits her character, because I honestly don't think she should have won BFDI, because I feel like her character didn't need to win BFDI. And again, her dynamics in season 1 were basically perfect. I loved her dynamic with Freesware, and I loved her dynamic with Leafy because it was so toxic, but I feel like it was so real and so relatable, like certain characters, like you see in like real life. And I just loved how Bubble would always stand up for herself and stand up to Leafy when no other characters would. And Bubble was just a very emotionally smart character. People say she got a lot worse in BFB, but I just don't see that. She might seem more sensitive, but really she was just standing up for herself to Match, and rightfully so, because Match was being rude towards her the whole season, and I still think Bubble is a very good character, and overall, she was probably the best character in season 1, like I said earlier, and I'm just glad to see how far she made it in that season. I'm glad she was in every single episode. Number 5, I have Fries. Fries has been my favorite character in BFDIA, and I'm so glad he's getting attention that he deserves, and I'm glad he's getting popularity. I love his character. I think he's so funny, and I love how competitive he is. He went on his own, and he's still winning challenges, and I wish he had more dynamics with other characters, but every episode, he's just been getting better and better. Just his character as a whole, his funniness, his competitiveness, everything about him. And I love his banter with other contestants. I just think it's super funny. And I also really liked him in TPOT. Despite not getting that much screen time, his dynamic with Puffball was also very interesting. And I believe as of right now, he's the second most deserving to win BFDIA. At number 4, I have Blocky. I love Blocky in season 1. I think he's super funny. Blocky's funny doing one of the best parts of the show. And I just loved all his antics. They were just super funny to me. And I loved his trio with Pen and Eraser. And in BFB Post-Split, I think he is an amazing character. Again, like I said earlier, I love his dynamic with Woody and Taco. I like how Blocky becomes a better person and improves Woody as a character. And I love his friendship with Taco. And it just shows how much of a caring character Blocky can be. And there's not really much that needs to be said, because I kind of said it earlier with the other characters he had dynamics with. But again, I just love Blocky. And I think he's a really funny character. And actually has a very good caring side. And shows to be more empathetic. At number 3, I have Gelatin. I really like Gelatin's character. I thought he was the best BFDIA character in pre-hiatus, and honestly would have probably been my favorite for the whole season if it weren't for his early elimination. And I love his personality. I like how he can just be childish and laid back at the same time, and can also be serious, and it works really well in his character. I really liked him in Post-Split, as well as I love the Nubia alliance with him, Teardrop, and Lollipop. I also felt like he was a very good challenge competitor too, and I did end up voting for him to win BFB. Obviously that didn't happen, but again, him in the finale episode, I really like how he took the loss, and that honestly might be the best episode for Gelatin as a character. I feel like the Gelatin hate is really forced, and I feel like they make him seem like he's way more of a challenge character than he actually is, especially in pre-hiatus BFDIA. I think it also shows his intelligence where he's getting those freeze potions. Number 2, I have Corny, and Corny is easily the most consistent character throughout all of the BFDI seasons. Corny's personality stays the same, it stays good, he stays empathetic, a good person, and also funny, and brings so much comedic value to each single season he is in, and he's never been bad in any of those seasons. Like I said earlier when I was talking about the other characters, I was constantly listing a weak spot in their character, because a lot of characters are going to have weak spots, but I feel like Corny has never had a weak spot. And like I was saying earlier with Fries, who's my second, like who I want to win BFDIA, Corny deserves to win BFDIA. He's easily been the main character of the season. And like I said earlier, like a year ago when I was saying that Corny was going to win the Power of 2, I genuinely believe they wanted him to win the Power of 2 until they brought back BFDIA, and they kind of put that whole focus on the Corny winning. Again, I love Corny's character. I'm always going to root for him in every single season he's in, and I love Corny. I think he's consistent, but he is not my favorite character, and my favorite character is none other than Lollipop. I love Lollipop. Lollipop, BFB pre-split and post-split, best character. I know I said Donut was the best pre-split character, but it was Lollipop and all of BFB. Lollipop should have won BFB. I don't know why she got eliminated 5th. She should have won. I love her sassiness. I love her intelligence. I love how sneaky she is. I love how she made the Nubia alliance. I love her dynamics with Teardrop. I love her dynamics with Gelatin. I love her dynamics with Barf Bag. Everything about Lollipop I love. A lot of people think Lollipop's rude, which I understand. but you kind of have to appreciate the character for what it's giving them. It's giving them a sassy villain, but a really good villain. Hero character on the voice, the design, everything on Lollipop is executed to perfection. And honestly, I compare her a lot to Heather in BFDI. Not the fact that they're similar characters, which they are to a certain extent, just how perfected they are in each of their seasons. And I'm kind of glad Lollipop didn't win to a certain extent, but I really wanted Lollipop to win. But it feels like Lollipop wasn't even that big of a hatred like villain. She was a good villain in the game. She knew what she needed to do to get farther in the game, but I feel like it was never in like a mean or hatred way. Yeah, she was mean to characters like Barf Bag, but it was just to get in their head and get them kind of off their game. I think Lollipop is the perfect BFDI character, except maybe Coiny if Coiny does better in BFDIA. Maybe Coiny can surpass Lollipop and maybe lie. But as of right now, Lollipop is easily my favorite character in all of BFDI.